Welcome to another episode of Lee Hayward's live video Q&A, live at 5 on Friday. Looking forward to doing another Q&A here on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel, as well as the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook group. So hopefully this is coming through loud and clear and coming through on your end, and that you can hear me and see me. So as you're chiming in to our live stream here, getting this up and running, please let me know in the comment section if this is coming through loud and clear on your end. All right, Lee's joining in, saying coming through loud and clear. Got Jose joining in. Hello, Jose. Glad to have you joining in as well. We have a Buff Canuck joining in. Welcome to the chat. Robert's joining in. Late getting on, loud and clear. Good stuff. Good stuff. Clear. Good. Excellent. I appreciate that, folks. Always nice to make sure that it is coming through loud and clear on your end. And it is working fine on my end. So the way these video chats work, for those of you who are brand new, I want to welcome you. Always nice to have new people joining in. And I'm going to be hanging out here for the next hour answering questions and topics of discussion that you have related to building muscle, losing fat, getting in shape, health and wellness, any specific challenges regarding workouts, nutrition, things of those natures. Please feel free to type in your questions and topics of discussion into our chat window, and I'll do the best that I can to help you out over the course of our video chat today. And just want to let you know that we are streaming live through the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel. That's where most people join in from, but we're also streaming live from the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook page. So regardless of where you're joining in from, you'll be able to participate in our video chat. On YouTube, there's a chat window to the side of the window, which you're probably seeing active there. So that's where most of the interaction was coming from so far, from YouTube. But if you're joining in through Facebook, you can type a comment below the video in the Facebook comment section, and that will come through as well. And we'll answer those questions as they come through in real time. So anything that you would like to discuss, health and wellness, fitness and nutrition, type it into the chat window, and I'll do the best that I can to help you out. And if I can help you, I'll let you know. And if not, then I'll try and point you in the right direction to somebody who can. Because even though I've been involved with the fitness industry for the past 30 plus years, like I literally started my very first website back in 97, started YouTube back in 2006, been coaching in person and online for a couple decades now. Even though I've been doing that for a while, I don't claim to know it all, right? I've learned a few things over the last 30 plus years that I've been in the fitness industry, but I don't claim to be a know-it-all. So if there's something that I can't help you with, or I feel it's outside my area of expertise, I'll just let you know that, but I'll try my best to point you in the right direction to somebody who can help if you have some specific challenges that need to be addressed. All right, we got Jose is joining in saying, listening while driving, cardio later on at nighttime. Good stuff. Well, listen, don't watch. And it's just a talking head, so listening is totally fine. Audio is cool. All right, multitasking. You know something? When I'm driving, when I'm working out at the gym, very often, like sometimes when I'm going for walks and things like that, I like to listen to podcasts, like to listen to audiobooks and things like that. So if you're looking for something to listen to while you're either driving or working out or doing your cardio, I obviously the video chats like this is a good one, but the Total Fitness Bodybuilding podcast, and we just uploaded another episode this week. So if you haven't already checked that out, it's up there on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding podcast. There's a link to the podcast through YouTube. You can also check it out through iTunes, through Spotify, through Amazon, and most of the major podcast networks. We're currently on episode number 34, so publishing one episode a week. And so far, so good. I mean, I got to say, I really enjoy doing those podcasts, and it's a great opportunity to really go deep into specific topics. And of course, I like having my guests come on board with me, joining me for the podcast. A lot of times, I'll have some of my coaching students who are going through the Muscle After 40 Blueprint join in. Sometimes I have my co-host Jeff Samatero or other guests joining in through the podcast. So it makes for really interactive conversations where we can just really peel back the layers and the hype and the BS and just get to the brass tacks, if you will, when it comes to what's involved with achieving a real world fitness and fat loss transformation. And more importantly, how do you sustain it and enjoy it in the process? So if you haven't already done so, make sure to check out the most recent episode of the Total Fitness Bodybuilding podcast. That one, we did a deep dive into some of the root causes for losing muscle when following a fat loss cutting diet. And that's something that some of you can probably relate to. Like if you've ever been on an extreme cutting diet where you drastically cut your calories, whether it's just extreme low calories, whether it's intermittent fasting, whether it's some sort of low carb, ketogenic, or restrictive diet like that, yeah, you can probably lose weight. And if you maintain that calorie deficit for a prolonged period of time, absolutely, you will lose weight. The problem is very often you also deplete your muscles. You also feel weaker. You start to lose strength. You'll start to lose energy. You start to feel hungry and hangry. And you can also lose lean muscle mass in the process if you push it too far. So it's kind of like walking that razor's edge there, that tightrope of how do you maximize fat loss without pushing it too far and losing muscle and losing strength in the process. And ideally, how do you maximize both where you're losing body fat while simultaneously getting stronger and adding lean mass? That is the sweet spot. That is what a body recomposition is all about. And that's what we really focus on within the whole Muscle After 40 blueprint, is like laying out the step-by-step action plan to achieving a lean body recomposition. So joining me for that podcast was several of my coaching students who are going through the Muscle After 40 blueprint. And again, we did a deep dive into some common areas that a lot of guys struggle with. So if you are going through a fat loss cutting diet or you plan to be going through one, definitely check out that podcast. You'll get a lot of value from it. All right, let's see what else we got there. Any questions coming through there? Let's see. Any questions, topics of discussion? Again, feel free to type those into the chat window there. Let's see. Mr. Buff Canuck says, your podcasts are great to listen to. It's a wellspring of information and inspiration. The last episode was great. I appreciate it. Thanks for sharing that. And I got to say, the feedback so far has been very positive. Like a lot of people really enjoy those podcasts. And the thing about it, like it's just a genuine conversation, just kind of like this is. Like it's not hyped up BS, you know. It's not a lot of sizzle and glitz and glamour. It's just a real raw conversation, but practical stuff that works. And I'm telling you, if you go through those podcasts and actually apply the stuff that we're covering, you're going to make some solid progress. All right, we have Zulio joining in. Does the deadlift work the back? Absolutely. The deadlift does work the back, and it also works. It's a, I won't say a total body exercise, but it does incorporate a lot of muscles. You're going to hit everything from your traps, your back, meaning your spinal rectors, even to a degree, your lats and your rhomboids, and all those muscles running up the whole back of the body. It's going to hit your hips and glutes and hamstrings. You're going to hit some of your quadriceps. You're definitely going to hit your forearms, your grip, and with just holding on to the weight. And then indirectly, it's also going to place some stress on the biceps and all the ligaments as well. So, I mean, the deadlift incorporates a lot of muscle, right? It's truly a big, massive compound exercise. And there's all kinds of different deadlift variations that you can incorporate to focus on different aspects. So, for example, like a conventional deadlift is like an overall mass builder. Sumo deadlift, again, overall mass builder, a little bit more emphasis on the hips and the legs with the sumo. If you're getting into like the Romanian deadlift, that's more hamstring isolation there. But yeah, the deadlift is a great overall exercise. It's certainly going to work the back of the body, but there's a lot of muscle comes into play. Yeah. If you want more information about the deadlift, I actually posted up a blog a while back up on leehayward.com. And it actually covers different deadlift variations, and it also covers a deadlift training program that you can follow as well. Try and find it for you there now. I believe it's called, if you just do a search for Lee Hayward deadlift program, it'll probably come up there. I'm going to just do a search now. I'm going to share the link. Actually, if you start searching, there's several different deadlift blog posts and deadlift video critiques and stuff like that. If you just go to my blog, leehayward.com, and type in deadlift in the search bar, you'll get all the different posts related to deadlifting. But the one that I was referring to specifically is called Deadlifting 101, How to Do the Deadlift. And it breaks down some video tutorials there, shows the different deadlift variations and some training tips on how you can maximize those. So for the benefit, I'm going to post that into the chat window, so you can go check that out after this video chat. So that should be popping up there. And again, it's the Deadlifting 101 blog post. All right, so let's see, where are we to in the lost my space there. Just give me a second there, guys. We have Terrence joining in. Says, I'm doing a hardcore cut. Had emergency dental surgery this week. Now I'm on liquids only. Not allowed to work out and down 6 pounds already. It's killing me to not work out. Well, that's not the ideal way to go about a cut, but it works from calories in, calories out point of view. I mean, obviously your weight is down. So, take it for what it is. I mean, that we'll chalk that up as a win, but realize that a lot of that is going to be water. It's going to be glycogen and just lack of intestinal bloat in your body. I mean, you're not eating solid food, so you're not going to have a lot of that intestinal bulk in your body, and you're also not going to have the calories and the glycogen, which is pulling water into the muscle cells. So anytime you lose weight quickly, and that's quick, like 6 pounds in a week, like that's basically like a pound a day. That's not all body fat. That's mostly water weight, right? But sure, a portion of that is going to be some body fat for sure. But that's not the ideal way to go about losing weight. Like I see this a lot. Some people say, oh, I got sick and I lost a bunch of weight. Well, yeah, I mean, 6 one, half dozen the other. Like, is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. But it is what it is. But when you do get back to training again, one thing that I do want to encourage is take it easy, because there's a common tendency for a lot of guys when they have to take a break from the gym. They feel like, oh, I'm losing ground. I'm not in the gym. I'm not working out, and and they start to get mad and pissed off at themselves because they're not in. And then when they do go back to the gym, it's like, oh, well, I got to make up for those lost workouts, and I'm going to push it extra hard. And then very often that's when you can get injured. That's when you can pull or strain or hurt yourself. Now, from the sounds of it, this isn't a prolonged layoff, but obviously it's going to be a short layoff. But still, for your first week back to the gym, just kind of go through the motions. Just do easy workouts, like not pushing to failure, just kind of going through warm-up weight for your exercises. And that's going to allow you to just condition your body to get back into the routine again. And then from each workout, then just focus on getting better than you were before. And this should only be a minor bump in the road, and you'll have your strength and energy back to normal. But realize it's going to dip, and then we're just going to come back out of it. But you don't want to push it too hard, because that's a common tendency. And I'm guilty of this myself. That's why I can speak on this stuff. It's because a lot of the stuff that I'm speaking of, I learned this the hard way, unfortunately. Most lessons have to be learned the hard way in order to be truly appreciated. Let's see what else. We got Sean joining in. He said, what is your biggest arm size? He says, I'm currently at 17.5 inches, the biggest they've been. That is impressive. Very impressive. For me, my personal best, the biggest that my arms have ever been, has been 18 inches. That's the biggest I've ever gotten them to. And I was quite happy with that. Right? That's the biggest they've ever been. They're not that big now. Honestly, I haven't measured my arms in a while, but if I had to guess, I'm in the 16-inch range right now. And that's totally fine. Like, I'm not pushing to maximize size and strength at this stage of the game. I'm more interested in maximizing my cardiovascular fitness and overall athleticism, strength and conditioning, and endurance and stamina, not necessarily strength and power. But yeah, the biggest that they ever were was 18. And I think I actually made a YouTube video about that a while back. I got to go check. I'm just curious. I'm curious now to see if I did. Where was it? Yep, I did. It was 7 years ago when I made that video. Cool. All right. I'm going to post the link to that in case you want to go check that out for yourself. So, and I'm proving it. I got the tape measure there and everything else, right? So let's see, where was that? Just a second now. I gotta post that into the chat window. This was my personal best arm size, 18 inches. Boom. All right, check that one out. All right, what else we got there? Just a second now. Hide that one. AJ is joining in. Hey, just checking in. Don't have the best of internet connection, but wanted to stop by. Well, appreciate you for stopping by. Hopefully it is coming through on your end, but if not, the replay will be posted up afterwards if you want to chime in after and catch the replay. And that applies for all of these live streams. Like when you go to the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel, right up there in the top menu bar, there's menu links for all the different stuff. Like there's a menu link for the podcast where you can check out all the podcast episodes. There's a menu link for live where you can watch all the past live streams that we've done. But so it's cool to catch up on there. I mean, there's a wealth of information up there from the podcast, the live streams, as well as the playlists. But again, glad to have you joining in. And George is just confirming the deadlift is an excellent exercise for back and legs. Absolutely, it certainly is. Jose says, I prepare my dinner and I eat a little at a time while doing Uber Eats during stops. Is that good for digestion and nutrient absorption? All right. I prepare my dinner and I eat a little at a time while doing Uber Eats during stops. So you're the Uber Eats driver? If I'm not mistaken, that's the way I'm picking this up. Is that good for digestion and nutrient absorption? Ultimately, what matters the most is what you eat and how much you eat. When you eat it, I mean, it does matter to a small degree, but the overall volume is the biggest thing. Like what you're eating and how much you're eating. That's what matters the most. How you break it up or how fast you go, it's not going to play a big role. But one thing that you probably will find is spacing your food out like that or eating slow is actually a good strategy. And that's something that I actually encourage my coaching students to focus on, is get into the habit of slowing down your eating tempo. Because most of us are conditioned to eat fast. We just start woofing down the food, and it's like a conveyor belt from the plate to the mouth, and it's just nonstop, right? You're just woofing the food down, and you're just shoveling it in as fast as you can go. And you're not really slowing down and savoring and enjoying the food. You got that habit. And it's kind of been conditioned into us just from life. Because just think of the typical scenario, like even from a kid, like you wake up and you slept in and now you're late for school and your parents are saying, oh, okay, we'll try to get some breakfast in you, woof down this bowl of cereal as fast as you can and then run out the door and catch the bus and get to school. And then as an adult, most people are sleeping in and they're like, oh shit, I'm late for work. I don't have time to eat. And if you do, you just grab something on the run and you're shoveling it down as fast as you can and then rushing out the door. And then during lunch break, right, you grab your lunch and you say like, oh, I only have a short lunch break. I don't have time to waste. So I'm just going to eat it as fast as I can and then get to my next meeting or my next whatever. So we're so used to just eating fast. And what often happens is people are eating subconsciously and they're not aware of it. And then you even carry that habit over into meals where you're not on a time restriction. So like you could be sitting down for dinner with the family and then all of a sudden you're just shoveling it in. And the problem with eating too quickly, one, I mean, it's not good from a digestion point of view, which is what Jose is getting at here. So yeah, eating slower is better from a digestion point of view because your body gets to break it down and utilize it without indigestion. But it's also good from a practical point of view because you get more time under taste. And a big part of the whole pleasure we get from eating is actually enjoying the flavor of the food and the process of eating. So if you slow that down and stretch it out, you can actually get more time under taste with less food. So if you did nothing else, like you didn't count your calories, track your macros, or change nothing, but you slowed down your tempo of eating, that indirectly would improve most people's nutrition. And that indirectly would cut your calorie consumption because you would get more satisfaction with less food. And it takes about 20 minutes from the time you start eating for the food to actually register, like hit the stomach and hit all the receptors and trigger the chemical reactions in your brain to give you the sensation that you're full. So if you just start eating like as fast as you can tuck away a lot of food within 20 minutes before it finally hits you, and then all the signals and everything click, and you realize, oh my God, I ate too much. And how often does that happen to you? Like thinking like you're at an all-you-can-eat buffet, or you're at a Thanksgiving dinner, or anything like that, where you eat and eat and eat and eat and eat, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, like I just want to go lie down. I've gorged myself. I ate way too much. Whereas if you paced yourself and ate slower, that's less likely to happen. And this is something, it's a hard habit to break. I mean, I'm still working on it myself. Like I'm teaching this to my coaching students. This is one of the things we focus on. I'm still struggling with it. I'm still constantly reminding myself of this. And it helps if you have things to pace you. So in Jose's case here, the situation, what he's doing, eating a little bit at a time between stops. I mean, that kind of naturally paces him. The only thing I would caution you on is try not to rush the food. Like, oh, I got a 5-minute stop. I'm going to wolf down a whole bunch of food as quickly as I can, before my next one or whatever. Still try and pace yourself. But when you're in real world situations, like say you're sitting down to a family dinner, try not to be the first one finished. Like we can apply that to other areas of your life, right? If you're a grown up, you know what I'm talking about. You don't want to be the first one finished. Right? It's never good if you're the first one finished, right? So apply that strategy to the dinner table as well. You don't want to be the first one finished. I'm going to use my wife and my son as an example for this. Like they're naturally slow eaters. Like they're slower than me. They're natural eating pace. So when we're sitting down to a dinner, I try and pace myself so that I'm eating at the same pace as everybody else, so that we finish the meal approximately the same time, or if I can, I'll try to pace it out where I'm the last one finished. Doesn't always happen. Sometimes, just my subconscious habits get a hold of me and I start eating way too fast and shoveling down too much food. But if you can do that, it'll go a long way. And it's such a simple strategy, but such a powerful one. Just slowing down your eating tempo, give you more time under taste, and you'll get more eating satisfaction with less food. And that's an easy way to cut back your calories, and without doing anything crazy. No macro tracking, calorie counting, no crazy diets, no nothing. Just slow the frick down. Chew your food. Take your time. Put the fork down in between bites. Right. Enjoy the process of the meal, not just trying to shovel it in as fast as you can. All right, what else we got there? We have another question from Mr. Mecco. Says, I like grip training a lot too. I close for 6 reps, heavy grip 200. That is also my picture profile. Cool. I mean, the heavy grips, they're solid grippers, and that's a good tool to add to your training. And I shared that story before in videos and stuff, where that was a weak link for me because I never did prioritize grip training early on, and I developed a weak link in the chain. My grip was the weak link and I had to prioritize it, and heavy grips was one of the key tools that I used for that. So good for you on that. Ooh, excuse me. Actually, speaking of heavy grips, just notice, got one right there. This is actually the 150. That's my 150 gripper there. But yeah, they're an awesome training tool. All right, what else we got here? I'm not sure what this is. Body weight only squirts. I hope you're not squirting. Body weight only squats? ? Any help? Please elaborate. What do you need help with body weight only squats? Right? I mean, give me something to work on here, right? Give me a little bit more meat to chew on. That's a that's a bare bones question right there, George. But if you're still watching and you want to elaborate on that one, feel free to do so, and I'll come back and answer questions about your body weight only squirts. Let's see what else we got here. Terrence is chiming in saying at 53, I think this is doing the body good to take a break like a deload, I guess. He says, take a bread. I know he means take a break, right? Yeah, and he says right there, take a break, not bread. Right? Yeah. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with taking a break. Sometimes we have to be forced to take a break. Sometimes it happens automatically like this. You know, you're forced to do so. But I like to listen to the body. And if you're feeling extra tired, there's no shame in either taking some time off, or what I prefer to do is just do lower intensity training, like active recovery training. I'm not a big fan of purposely taking time off the gym because we're creatures of habit. So if somebody's saying like I'm feeling overtrained, I'm feeling burnt out, and they need to take some rest, then let's just do some easy workouts. Let's just kind of go through the motions with easy workouts, easy weights, stop short of failure, choose easier exercise variations. So for example, like instead of doing squats, we can do leg presses or leg extensions and leg curls. Instead of doing bench presses, we can do some chest press machine. We just do some machine exercise variations instead of free weights. Do lighter weights, higher repetitions, just kind of get a little pump going and stop. But keep the habit of exercise alive. Same when it comes to cardio. Like instead of busting your ass doing high intensity intervals, how about we just go for a walk or go to the gym and just do some low intensity cardio on the machines? Like do something. Something's better than nothing. But I'm a fan of scaling the intensity. So keep the habit of exercise alive. Keep that consistent pattern and that schedule going. Just adjust the intensity based on how you're feeling. So if I'm feeling strong and energetic, hey, well, let's ramp up the intensity. If I'm feeling tired and just I don't have it today, let's just dial it back down. And working within that in the intensity range, like let your body dictate how hard you push yourself. Now, with that being said, if you're following a structured program, sometimes there is a time and a place for controlled overtraining or pushing yourself, overreaching. If you're getting into the technical terms here, where you want to push the limits for a short term so that your body can adapt and help to spur out some new muscle growth. That's more advanced training strategies right there. But for the average person, guys who are just looking to lose the gut, build muscle, get in shape, the typical muscle after 40 coaching student that I'm working with, who's not an elite athlete. They just want to be the best version of themselves and be able to live life to the fullest without having their body holding them back from doing the things they want to do. This is a good strategy of keep that habit of exercise alive and then just adjust the intensity based on how you feel. All right, let's see what else we got there. Sean's got another question saying, what's your favorite chest exercises for hypertrophy? Do you think decline movements are necessary for complete chest growth? My personal favorite chest exercise, the one that I think I've gotten the best growth from, push-ups. Hands down, push-ups are one of my favorite exercises, and I think it's one of the most neglected or underrated chest exercises. And the reason why I say that is because for years, before I even got involved with bodybuilding, I was involved with martial arts. And with martial arts training, we did a lot of push-ups. That was just part of the drill. It was part of the training, and it was also part of the discipline side of things. If anybody's been in martial arts classes before, like sometimes, especially as young kids or whatever, if you're screwing around, like, hey, drop to the floor and give me 50 push-ups type of thing, they're almost like that type of thing. So they used it almost like a training, but also from a discipline point of view. So we did a lot of push-ups when I was in martial arts, and I got good at them. I mean, I remember at my personal best, I could do 100 push-ups in a single set in a rest pause fashion. So when I say 100 push-ups, it doesn't mean 100 nonstop, but it means like I bang out maybe 20 or 30 reps, lock it out at the top, take a few deep breaths, bang out another set of reps, lock it out, take a few deep breaths, bang out another set like that, and do them in a rest pause fashion, locking out at the top, but staying in the push-up position, like, hands and toes on the floor, like staying in that push-up position, but doing 100 total reps. And I worked up to that, as a teenager. And I found that really gave my chest a head start over everything else. Like my pecs and upper body really filled out from doing all those push-ups. So that is one of my favorite chest exercises. And that indirectly carries over into other exercises. Like if you're strong in push-ups, that's going to help to carry over into bench presses and other pressing exercises. So that is hands down my favorite exercise. As far as getting into more gym-related exercises, dumbbell bench press was always another favorite of mine. I mean, I like the barbell bench press, but I found dumbbell bench press worked really well in that when I got stronger with the dumbbell bench press, I found that it carried over and helped me get stronger with the barbell bench press as well. There was a lot of carryover there. And I like the dumbbells because it forces each side to handle an equal workload, and you can put your hands in a more neutral position. So I found it was easier on the shoulders. Like you could tuck your elbows in, rotate your hands, and I found it took some of the strain off the shoulders and was a more comfortable bench press variation. So I did a lot of dumbbell bench presses. Pec flies, like pec deck flies, another favorite one of mine as well. Cable crossovers, dumbbell flies. Those are some good exercises for stretching. And I find, like, especially as you get more advanced, stretch exercises can certainly play a big role. I found early on in my training, when I was like within my first few years of training, I didn't get much benefit from stretching, like stretch exercises, that is. But as I got more advanced and, to really take things from like intermediate to advanced level, I found incorporating more stretch exercises like full range of motion dumbbell flies, full range of motion pec deck flies, and pullovers and things like that. Just really stretching and opening up the chest and the rib cage. I found that really helped to take things to another level. But you had to have some meat on your bones in order for that to really be effective. Like if you take someone who's like rail thin and no muscle on their body and have them doing stretching exercises, they're probably not going to get as much benefit from it as someone who's got some solid muscle development and several years of training, because the more mass you have, the more it's important to stretch it out and to keep that range of motion. Now, not saying that, beginners can't incorporate stretching, but I'm just saying you probably won't feel it as much from a hypertrophy point of view as someone who's more advanced. But that's the order I would take it in right there. Like focus on getting really good at push-ups first, and then start to incorporate those other exercises in there. That's the way I would go about it. I mean, that's the way I went about it, and I found that it worked really well for me. We have Brian joining in. Good to see you as well, my friend. Glad to have you joining into our video chat. Superman Kid. Thoughts on a torso and limbs split routine? Torso and limbs. Well, that's kind of total body if you're asking me, because we have torso and we have limbs, and that's pretty much it, unless you're factoring in head, shoulders, knees and toes, torso and limbs, all around it goes. A torso and limbs workout, that's a total body workout. If you're looking for a good total body workout, just go to YouTube and type in Lee Hayward total body workout, and I actually have some of my personal favorites. I'll type in a link for one right now, or a couple of them. Let's see. There's one. This is where I start. I'm just going to share the link here now. Just give me a moment. Grab the link and post it into our chat. This is where I would start. I'm going to call it a full body workout, which includes the torso and it includes the limbs. All right. That's a good one to check out. And I have another one as well. This one, I'm going to share this one as well. This is another variation of that previous one that I just shared with you. So I'll just call it Full Body Workout 2. All right, there you go. So you can check those out afterwards, but that's a good one to start with. And you know what? I still do total body workouts, and I'm a huge fan of them. For a lot of my coaching students, we still incorporate them. And the thing I like about it is it allows you to hit all your major muscle groups frequently. So for example, like if you're going to the gym 3 days a week and you're doing a full body workout, well, you're doing a little bit of exercise for all your major muscle groups 3 times a week. Whereas if you're doing push-pull legs or a body part split or something like that, and you're only training 3 days a week, it could be big gaps between muscle groups. Like even if you're doing push-pull legs, Well, you're only hitting each major muscle group once a week. And if you're doing a body part split, it could even be longer than that, depending on how frequent you're going to the gym. The only time those type of programs really work well is generally for people who are more advanced and people who are training more frequently, like 5 days a week or 6 days a week, like that type of thing. You can probably get away with a split routine. And that's where the whole split routines kind of came into play, is because people who wanted to work out every day, they're like, well, I can't just go in there and blast everything every single day. They would break it up, say, okay, I'll work my arms one day, I'll work my legs the next, and work different muscle groups, and that allowed them to train more frequently. But you're still having big gaps between those individual muscle groups. Now, again, that's great if you love to be in the gym every single day. But for people who are busy and you got lives and career and family, and you just can't be in the gym every single day, then a total body workout is excellent. And like even back in the old days of strength training, like pretty much everybody did total body workout. So this isn't like a lot of people have this conception that total body means, oh, it's for newbies or beginners, or you're not going to make any gains. Like some of the best built athletes do total body workouts. Like you look at strongman competitors and power lifters and Olympic lifters, like that's all total body training. I mean, these are the strongest, most well-built people in the world, right? So I mean, like, and you think of like an athlete in general, like there's no such thing as a sport that just works one body part. Like every sport out there, football, like Super Bowl Sunday coming up, like is football a body part isolation exercise? No, it's like everything. I mean, you look at those linemen, and when they're tackling people, like everything's engaged, right? When someone's sprinting and running and jumping and throwing, like you're not just isolating muscle groups, you're bringing everything into play. So when you train your body as a unit and train all your major muscle groups, like that's the way the body is meant to work. So it's not a newbie thing or a beginner thing or anything like that. That can actually be some of the most effective training. And I mean, I've kind of gone through the whole gamut of full body workouts, upper lower splits, push pull leg splits, body part splits, and different types of training programs. And you know what? I always keep coming back to total body. Like that's basically what I've been doing now for the last 8 years or more. And it's just that's where I keep coming back to, and I find that it's the most effective program. It's the one that I enjoy the most as well. So that would be a torso and limbs. All right. All right, what else we got there? Neil's joining in saying, I get some clicks on my shoulder when I do shoulder presses and pull-ups. Should I be worried about this, or is it normal? It depends. If there's no pain, then I wouldn't be too concerned about it. As long as you can still do your exercises, then it's not necessarily a bad thing. Like I still get some joint clicks, and what it is, it's the shoulder, especially the shoulder is a ball and socket joint, right? So as it's moving around in the socket, what sometimes happens is the joint is rubbing and clicking. So like you rotate your arm and you press up, like that shoulder in the socket could be just clicking. It's not necessarily bad. It's just the way it is. If it doesn't cause any pain or discomfort, you should be good to go. I know it's annoying, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. If it's causing pain, then obviously you want to work around that pain, because if pain is not a good sign, pain is like your body's check engine like flashing, right? It says like, go get this fixed. Don't keep ignoring it, right? We don't want to ignore this because it's going to get worse. So if you're having pain, then that's something you want to be concerned about. But if there's no pain, you should be fine. Now, again, be smart about it. Listen to your body. I mean, if it gets worse, then yeah, you might want to go get it checked out, like go see a physiotherapist or someone who's preferably someone who's used to working with athletes and has a good knowledge base on this. Because when you're dealing with physiotherapists and people like that in general, like even chiropractors and stuff like that, there's different levels. And if you get someone who's like more of a high level person who's used to working with athletes, who's used to working with people who are well conditioned, that's different than someone who's spends most of their time working with the average sedentary person. Because the body and the aches and the pains and everything else it's totally different. Like athletes usually get aches and pains from overuse. The average person tends to get aches and pains from lack of use. So it's a different type of scenario. So ideally, it'd be nice to get some advice if you're going to go see a physiotherapist or someone like that. Try and find someone who's used to working with athletes and people who work out on a regular basis, because they'll be able to relate more to your situation. Right? But I get clicks in the joint from time to time, and generally what I find is you might get it on the first warm-up set or two, and then after so many sets, sometimes that clicking kind of subsides, like the joints and tendons and ligaments get loosened up and warmed up, and sometimes that clicking subsides. But the first few sets or first few reps, they might click, almost like cracking your knuckles. Like once you crack your knuckles and loosen them up, then they don't crack anymore. Or I mean, they will eventually crack again, but once you get that initial crack out, then they're loose and limbered, and you don't get that. So the same can apply with other joints. Like even with my knees, like when I'm doing leg exercises, I'll always do some deep knee bends to start off with. And very often I might have a little crack or a pop in the knee. Same type of sensation as cracking the knuckles. Once I get that out, then I feel like my knees are loose and I'm ready to go. Same thing with the shoulders. Like I'll do some arm circles, rotator cuff rotations, things like that. Once I get them all loose and limber, then I'm good to go. So that's something you might want to try as well. And if you'd actually do a search for Lee Hayward shoulder warm-up or Lee Hayward rotator cuff warm-up, I'm not sure, you should find a video that shows you some exercises that you can do to take you through that and warm up the shoulder joint. But yeah, that would be something. Like I do that pretty much every workout, and I find it makes a big difference. Sean saying, Lee, you had freak grip strength, and I saw you close the 400 gripper. What do you think you could close now? Not the 400 gripper. My grip strength has gone down substantially over the last little while, partially because I had carpal tunnel surgery and haven't been able to train nearly as much. Now I'm getting back into more normal training again, and my grip strength is starting to come back, but it's still nowhere near what it was when I was doing a lot of heavy grip work. Right now, honestly, the 200-pound gripper would be a challenge for me at this stage, right? It really would. I mean, I wouldn't be able. I know I wouldn't be able to close like a 250 or 300, and then that 400. That's a long ways away. But yeah, if you do a search for it again, I get some old videos from a decade or more ago where I was closing some of those grippers. Yeah, Roshan joining in. Welcome. Glad to have you joining in. All right. Lee is saying that he's on a holiday to Australia tomorrow for 3 weeks. I have downloaded some of your podcasts to listen to on the airplane and on the beach. We have lots of walking and swimming planned as well. Awesome. You know what? I am jealous. I would love to go to Australia. I've never been there before, but it's certainly on my bucket list of places to visit. I would love to go check that out. I am jealous, my friend, and I'm not sure if this is your first time there or not, but either way, thoroughly take it in and enjoy. That sounds like quite the adventure for sure. And if I'm not mistaken, this is the warm season for Australia. Because Southern Hemisphere, like they're the complete opposite of us. Like here in Canada, we're in the freezing cold middle of winter. But if I'm not mistaken, Australia is like in the middle of their summer or hot season. I'm assuming they still call it summer. Again, I've never been there, so I don't know. But any of you guys from the land down under, chime in, let me know. Is this the warm time of year for Australia? I believe it is. Someone else asked about the gripper. Can I close the 200-pound gripper now? Probably. I haven't tried, but I don't even have a 200 right now. I had the 150. But this is a 150. There's the dog leg. So my right hand is strong, but it's the left one that I had the surgery on. I'm going to see if I can do it with the left one. That's going to be the challenge because I just had surgery on that one. Oh, that's still got it, but the left hand is a lot weaker because that's the one that I had the carpal tunnel surgery on. But still, to be able to close a 150-pound gripper a few months after surgery, it's pretty darn good. All right. How do you train a weaker side of the body? Why these questions are just wrapping up in sequence. I just trained the weaker side of the body. The simple answer, with exercises that work each side independently. So if you have one side that is noticeably stronger or weaker than the other, then try to incorporate some single limb exercises or some exercises that incorporate each side independently. Dumbbells are a great example of this. If you have machines that are independent, like hammer strength machines are a great example of this. And there's a lot of other ones that have independent handles. So like when you do a press, you're pressing both sides independently, or you're doing a pull, both sides independently. That makes a big difference because it's a 50-50 split between both sides. Whereas if you're lifting like a barbell or a machine that has a fixed handle and both arms are lifting simultaneously, you may subconsciously push or pull more with your stronger side. Like it might not be a 50-50 split, it might be a 60-40 split. And that could be happening subconsciously, and you might just be exaggerating that strength imbalance. So by doing single limb exercises or exercises that work both sides independently, that's going to help to improve the muscle imbalance. Now, to be honest, most people are going to be stronger on one side than the other. Like if you're right-handed, or your chances are you're going to be stronger on your right side. If you're left-handed, chances are you're going to be stronger with your left side. Sometimes it's weird, and I've seen the opposite. Like it doesn't really make sense, but I've seen that happen for some reason. But most people have a dominant side, and that side is going to be stronger. Very often it's going to be bigger as well. Like you probably be bigger and more developed on that stronger side. And this applies right across the board, not just for mere mortals like you and I, but for even professional level athletes, right? A prime example of this: do a search for Arnold Schwarzenegger front double bicep, and you'll see Arnold Schwarzenegger back in his prime, back in the 70s, doing his front double bicep. His right arm is way bigger and looks way more impressive than his left arm. Now, to his credit, both arms look amazing and are world class, but the right one is better. Like you can see it. I mean, I'll just do it for the shits and giggles to show you what I'm talking about. All right, do a search. So Arnold, I just did a search. Now, just give me a second. I'm going to share my screen here, folks. So I'm going to close your comment there now, Mr. Eagle Eye John, and share my screen. Share screen. So if you did this, you can do this on your own time as well, but go to, and I'll make that a bit bigger. There we go. Arnold Schwarzenegger, front double bicep. Here's a good picture. I don't know if that's coming up big enough on the screen or not, but yeah, it's good enough. You can see it. You can do this search on your own as well. And this one as well. This one. Yeah, okay, this is it's more zoomed in. So I'll use this as the example. Now, I know it's not perfectly square, and I think that was a strategy of Arnold to twist to kind of minimize the imbalance so it's not as noticeable. But look at the peak on the right arm versus the left arm. And again, when you see more even a square on shot here, you can see it again. Like both arms look incredible, don't get me wrong, but the right arm is bigger peaked and just more muscular than the left arm, right? And Arnold's not alone with this. Like a lot of bodybuilders, here's a great example of that as well. Like look at the size of the peak on the right versus the left. Now, again, both look incredible, but the right one just looks like he got a grapefruit stuffed under the skin or something. It's just this big, massive peak, whereas the left one is a little more flatter. Again, still a world-class bicep by anybody's standards, but it goes to show that even top-level pros have imbalances, right? It's if you do searches, like I know Jay Cutler had this as well. Like one side of his body was bigger than the other, and with Jay Cutler, it was even noticeable right from the arms to the legs, everything. Like you see him do like a front double bicep pose. I think in his case, the left arm was bigger, and I believe the left quad was bigger, right? And it was noticeable. Like once you were looking for it, you couldn't unsee it. But if nobody pointed it out, you probably just look and say, "Wow, he's just huge and jacked and whatever." But if somebody pointed out and said, "Hey, one arm is bigger than the other, one leg is bigger than the other. Can you tell which one?" And then you're actually starting to look for it, you can't unsee it. Then it's just like, "Whoa, okay, it's so obvious." And the thing is we're our own worst critic. So when we're looking at our own body, like we're picking out every little flaw. We're like, "Oh, my left arm sucks. My right arm sucks, but not quite as much. We're picking out every little flaw on our own body, but even top level pros have these flaws, right? It's virtually everybody has imbalances between the left and right. So don't get too hung up on it, but just try your best to incorporate exercises where you're going to build strength in both sides equally, right? And realize that even though you can probably minimize the imbalance, you'll probably never ever truly balance it out. CFC for life. Hey, what do you think about the workout video by Mike Hunt? Would you recommend it? I don't know who Mike Hunt is, and I've never seen his workout video. So I'll have to go check it out. All right. I'm not sure if that's if there's actually a guy named Mike Hunt, or if that's one of those. I remember kids used to try to do that in school, like get the principal to Mike Hunt and say it fast, like so it came out like Mike Hunt. So maybe that's what this is. I don't know if you just want me to say my cunt or Mike Hunt. But I don't know what the hell you're talking about there. And if that was your plan to get me to say that, hopefully you got a chuckle out of it. What else we got there? Second now, guys. I'm trying scrolling through here. I lost my place. There we go. Oh, wait, we got Buff Canuck. Appreciate the support, my friend. Much appreciated. Said your podcasts are like Plato's Republic dialogue format, and you learn a lot. But for muscle building, keep it up. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you for sharing that, and I appreciate the support. It's greatly, every little bit counts. So thank you for doing that. All right, what else we got there, folks? I lost my place again. Just give me a second. We have a penis joining in here. Hello, Mr. Penis. I want to grow my biceps. What exercise would you recommend? Curls for the girls, right? And you can use your penis to go along with it. But if you want a full-on bicep program, like all jokes and shit aside here, if you want a full-on program, I have one. It's called Blast Your Biceps. Like literally just go to blastyourbiceps.com. That is a complete arm specialization mass building program that I put together because this was a stubborn area for me. And I really had to think outside the box and come up with some unique training methods to spur on growth in my biceps. So if you want a full-on program, I would highly recommend that you check that one out. So it's just blastyourbiceps.com, and you can download this whole PDF downloadable course that you can go through with, workout manuals and a whole bunch of other bonuses in there as well. What else we got there? We have Joe joining in. Appreciate the support, Joe. Thank you so much again. Says, hey, Lee, I've heard from reputable sources that Arnold's book, Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding, has deliberately misleading info in it. I personally found it on YouTube, but wondering what your thoughts are on it. Thank you. I've never heard that myself, but I will share my own insights on the Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding. I mean, deliberate misleading info. A lot of these books, and I'm sure the same would apply for Arnold's books, look at it from the big picture. I mean, even back then, that book is an older book, but Arnold was quite successful by the time that book was published. So Mr. Olympia had several businesses. He was involved with real estate. Like, he's got a lot on his plate. It takes a long time to write a book. So again, I don't know for sure, but if I had to guess, I would say that book was probably ghostwritten, meaning someone written it on Arnold's behalf. So it's probably not word for word coming from Arnold himself. And most books are like that these days. Like, that shouldn't come as no surprise. Like, when you're seeing celebrities and politicians and actors and, all these famous people, I got a new book. Yeah, it's a new book written on your behalf. Like, maybe you were interviewed, you answered some questions, you provided insights on it, but then you had the editors and the writer people actually put the damn book together. You didn't sit down at your computer and type it out day in, day out. You had somebody hired to do that for you, right? So chances are the book was ghostwritten. Now, again, I don't have proof, but I'm just assuming that. And one thing that I have found with those books is it's just kind of like a dump of exercises. Like you say, like, okay, here's 20 different bicep variations. Here's 20 different chest exercise variations. Here's a whole, like, it's just it's literally an encyclopedia. It's a dump of exercises. Nobody in their right mind should like say, okay, here's all the 20 bicep exercises that are from Arnold's encyclopedia. I'm going to do that, and that's going to be my bicep workout. Like, that would be overkill. So it's good like as a reference, and it's good for motivation to see the pictures and everything else, but don't take it as like do this. Like, it's overkill. And even when you look at Arnold's workouts in general from back in the day, I mean, it's inspiring, but at the same time, it's overkill. Or he says like, hey, we used to work out 4 or 5 hours a day, lift hundreds of pounds, and our Arnold used to talk about, work out in the morning, work out again in the evening, and then go to acting classes and English classes and work on construction and do this and sleep faster and like all the shit that he's, no doubt he did all that stuff, but he didn't do it all simultaneously because there's not enough hours in the day to do everything that he said he did. So yeah, take all that stuff with a grain of salt. So that's my opinion on it. But again, I'm just curious to know what you're recommending or what you're referring to there as far as the deliberate misleading info. But it doesn't surprise me. There's a lot of misleading info out there, and I'm sure a lot of it is deliberate as well, right? Today's social media and internet is full of misleading info for multiple reasons, right? The more misleading, the more controversial, the more eyeballs and views and attention it gets. Right? Anyway, I will move on. I lost my place again in our chat window. Let me see. Just give me a second, guys. I got to find out where I was to. Oh, yes. I answered a question by Mr. Penis. Oh, boy. We're really going all out here. We have Dixie Normus. We had Mike Cunt and Penis and Dixie Normus. My Jesus. Oh, look. We got huge erection coming through there as well. Someone's really going flat out. Like, who's creating all these YouTube accounts just to come in on? I'm flattered. You're coming in on my channel to create all these YouTube accounts just so you can. It's creating lots of interaction for sure, but kudos to you. What else? How do you eat lots of protein at a low cost? We actually did a podcast about that 2 podcasts ago. Myself and Jeff did a whole detailed and bodybuilding on a budget, and we covered how to train on a budget, including low cost home gym equipment. Even covered strategies for how you can get free gym memberships, and I bullshit you not with that. That is legit. I started off training at a commercial gym for free, and I explained exactly how you can do that for those of you who are on a budget. And then we went into a whole section there on nutrition and how you can get inexpensive, high quality bodybuilding foods, your good quality protein and veggies and complex carbs and all those things for a fraction of the cost. So again, if you haven't checked that out, go back and check out the 2 podcasts ago. It's bodybuilding on a budget, or I can't remember the exact. I can't even remember the title of the podcast, but that's what it was about. Give me a second there. What was it? Podcast. I'm going to pop it open there now because I'm curious. How to get fit without breaking the bank. Fitness on a budget. That's what it's called. Again, it's 2 podcasts ago, so you can go check that out. And I would recommend everybody listening to that. There's some really good content in there for sure. All right, Mr. Dixie Normus, and we're going to move on now to a huge erection. Someone's really kinky here today. What are the biggest no-nos when it comes to the bench press? The biggest no-nos when it comes to the bench press. Don't go testing your 1 rep max, right? There's been more torn pecs and blown out rotator cuffs from needless 1 rep maxing. A 1 rep max is for testing your strength, and that should be done very rare or sometimes not even done at all, depending on the person and the situation. You're not building strength with 1 rep max. That's a test. You're building strength when you're actually doing repetition work, like sub-maximal weights or with repetition, like just simply maxing out, that's not truly building strength. And even if you are in the powerlifting and you want to max out, that should be done infrequently. Like most powerlifters, especially once they get to the advanced level, they only max out in competition. They're not maxing out in the gym where it doesn't count. If they're going to push it and max out, they want to do it on the platform where it's actually going to count. Now, they're still training heavy and still pushing themselves hard, but they're not going 100%. Like they're going probably like 90% or 95 or whatever, but they're always keeping a little bit of buffer room, not going emptying the tank. You know, they'll only truly empty the tank in a competition. And I've kind of implemented that in my own way with my cycling training. Like on the last several years now, I've been doing cycling races. And the only time I really empty the tank 100% is when I do a race. But when I'm doing training rides, I still train hard, don't get me wrong, but I never go 100%. I never empty the tank entirely because it's so hard to recover from emptying the tank. And it's also more stressful on the body and it's more risk of injury. So like you want to be careful and use push it to red line very conservatively. That applies not just with the bench press, but with training in general. Right. I always focus on the consistency over the intensity. All right, let's see what else we got there. All right, we have a normal username, Storyteller. Hello, how do you manage to get enough volume per muscle group without huge fatigue as advanced lifter with whole body workouts? Simple. I mean, you look at the weekly volume, not the individual training session volume. Like a lot of people think the volume only counts of what you do that day in the gym, but volume accumulates. It's what you're doing over the course of the week. So if you're doing a body part split, and let's say you're doing chest day, you do 15 sets of chest on chest day, or you do a total body workout and you do 5 sets of chest 3 days per week, it's the same volume over the course of the week, right? Like you just spaced it out. Instead of doing it all in a single session, you did that volume spaced out over the course of the week. So you can still get the volume that you need for muscle growth with total body workouts, but it's not all done in one single session. It's spaced out, in divided doses throughout the week. And I actually find that it's easier to recover from shorter, more frequent workouts versus going all in and just annihilating your chest on chest day and then, then having a full week or more before you hit that muscle group again. I'd rather go in there and like blast it, like stimulate, rest, recover, grow, stimulate, rest, recover, grow, have these little shorter bursts. I personally find that works better for most people. But again, you can try both ways. I mean, like, I'm not saying that it's the only way. Like, everything works. Like, there's guys who've made amazing progress doing body part split routines. There's guys who made amazing progress doing total body workouts. And then every mishmash and variation in between. Like, you'll see people make progress. But it's just like, what works the best for you, your schedule, and your preferences, and of course, your body at this stage of the game. Another thing that's nice, especially for an older athlete, is when you do a little bit of stimulation, rest, recover, grow, you don't get that repetitive movement strain. It's not as hard on the joints. Whereas if you go in there and just like blast out 15 plus sets of chest, your shoulders and elbows will probably be killing you the next day. Whereas if you just did 5 sets, you probably still feel pretty good because you didn't get into aggravating the joints, tendons, and ligaments. You stimulated a little bit, then let it rest, recover, grow, and then stimulate a little bit, rest, recover, grow. And you're not digging yourself in such a deep rut after every workout. So from a practical point of view, since I started doing total body workouts, like knock on wood, I haven't had any major aches or pains, or like actually my joint pain has improved dramatically. Like I used to get a lot of nagging elbow and shoulder pain and knee pain, stuff like that. It's been greatly reduced since I started doing total body workouts. So that's another advantage of them. Right. But again, it's another tool in the toolbox. So you see, like, what tool do you need at this stage of the game? Right. It's not that one tool is better than another. It's just what tool do you need for you at this stage of the game and based on what you're trying to achieve. Oh, gotta love this. What muscle exercises would you recommend to a man struggling with erectile dysfunction? Talk to your doctor. Hey? Oh man. I'm not an erectile dysfunction specialist. Knock on wood again. Hardwood, hopefully. My erectile dysfunction is not an issue at this stage of the game. Jesus. What's your person best deadlift, personal best on deadlift? And what's the oh, for fuck's sakes, guys. All right. I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to pre-screen some of these questions, right? I mean, I appreciate doing the questions, but when it just becomes a a bullshit chat like this, then that just gets on my nerves. Now I know a lot of people are legit questions here and that, but I'm gonna have to probably like screen some of these. Nice. All right, let's see. Anyway, guys, I'm going to get ready and clue up the chat now because that's just kind of I'm getting sick and tired of the bullshit comments there. And but in the meantime, we've still been going for over an hour. All right, but in the meantime, like I say, if you haven't already done so, check out the Total Fitness Bodybuilding podcasts. Again, there's a couple of good ones coming through there. And if you do have any questions or want to elaborate on anything that we've been covering here, feel free to reach out. Right, you can send me a message. If there's any questions here that you want to elaborate on, any legit questions, because I know we had a lot of BS questions in there, but if there's any legit questions or if you need some help or support with anything related to your own personal fitness and fat loss journey, feel free to reach out and I'll do the best I can to help you out. And in the meantime, we'll be back again next week with another live video Q&A. All right, have yourself a good one. Take care. Over and out.